If you've been watching the blog at farmhouseharvest.net at all this summer, I have been doing a ton of grilling. That's for a few reasons, but the main reason is it does not heat up your house. It adds so much flavor to your food, and it's just one of our family's favorite way to eat during the warmer months of the year. So this is a grilled tilapia recipe. It's delicious if you want to use it in fish tacos. Both recipes I will link in the description box below. Tonight we're just having the tilapia fillets, not serving it as tacos with a salad, but I'm starting this with a lime-based marinade using a little bit of honey for sweetness. Then I'm doing some salt, some pepper, and one of my favorite spices, which is the Hatch chili pepper, for a very bright summery flavor with a little bit of sweetness from the honey, which also helps it get those nice grill marks on the grill. Also, with trying to eat healthier, grilling really, I feel like it helps that a lot. I like doing a grilled meat or fish, protein, a grilled protein with a grilled vegetable or fruit. So I've done grilled mangoes, grilled pineapple, grilled zucchini, grilled mushrooms, grilled peppers, all of which are delicious, and luckily my kids love it too. The first thing I always do is heat up my grill, and then I take a wire brush and brush off anything that might be left on the racks from the last time I used it. So it's really convenient. There's a lot less dishes to clean or mess to clean when you're cooking on the grill, because you basically cook off any residue, any food that's left over. You just cook it off or burn it off and then scrape it with your wire brush before you cook with it again. Here's another recipe that is so simple. I've been doing it for years. I make like a homemade rice-a-roni. So I add some butter to the bottom of a pan and some rice. Then I break up angel hair pasta really small. I'm not sure what the name of it would be, but it just adds a small pasta into the rice. Okay, sounds a little bit weird, but we all love it. I'm using a whole wheat angel hair here, which adds a little color to it too, and I'm cooking this on the barbecue too, so it just makes it a lot easier. I'm not heating up the house with it. And then I add some water, which you could just use broth, but I'm going to use some bouillon and some water with that, and then some fresh parsley. And that's about all you really need for the spices. You can add onion, you can add garlic, you can add a lot of different things here, but I'm just keeping it simple with the chicken broth or chicken bouillon and water, and then a little bit of vegetable seasoning. It's just a super easy, super versatile, and actually pretty fast to make carbohydrate side dish for any protein main that you're making. And I just put it on my grill on a pizza stone that I keep in there, and then it's done by the time the tilapia fillets are done. Also, before I put the tilapia fillets on this preheated grill, I'm spraying it with a vegetable or avocado oil spray, and that just helps because fish would stick to hot grill grates if they weren't nonstick, which mine are not nonstick. And so making sure that it's all the way preheated, they're scraped off and then sprayed with an avocado oil, coconut oil, or some butter on there just really helps to keep the fish from sticking. Now I'm going to go ahead and marinate a bunch of chicken. I'm really loving lime, and adding the lime zest in adds a ton of flavor. So don't leave the zest on your limes when you're making a marinade. Zest it and add it to your marinade because it adds so much flavor, and even on the grill it's just delicious. I'm adding some oil and some Hatch chili peppers, salt and pepper to this simple marinade. I think I called this a marinade. I'm making two different marinades here. One's for chicken and one is for fish, but it's actually not a marinade for fish because I'm just glazing it on the grill. So the lime and honey tilapia is not a marinade. It's actually just a glaze. So you want to make sure till your fish fillets are nice and have those nice grill marks on them before you flip them over. And then I'm brushing them with the lime and honey and hatch chili pepper glaze. I'll call it a glaze. These only take like 20 minutes max to cook on the grill. I usually grill around 400 degrees Fahrenheit and make sure it's super preheated before I put anything on there. But fish cooks pretty quickly. You only cook it to about 145 degrees. If you like your fish drier, I wouldn't go above 150 to 155, or it's just going to be tough and dry. I don't know why, but we always have some broody chickens. So I'm collecting the eggs, but we have been battling with broody chickens. There was a point a few months ago where all of our nesting boxes were always full of chickens, hens, just sitting in there wanting to hatch eggs. So we're down to one, but what we did was we bought a carton of the porcelain brown eggs and put them in the freezer and then put them out in the nesting boxes. So that just kind of discouraged them. So now, as you can see, we only have one lady in here who wants to hatch eggs, and she's so consistent. She just wants to be in there laying on eggs. I'm not sure that they even lay eggs when they're broody like that, but the frozen egg trick really did help with all the other chickens except for this one. But these are Copper Splash Marans, Maran hens, and they lay a really beautiful dark brown egg. And my daughter has been propagating those, and so we have a lot of hens right now. I think we've got around 20 Splash Marans, and so really enjoying those. Of course, a lot of them are not laying yet, but we are getting a lot of eggs. It is so fun to keep a basket of fresh eggs on the counter. They're so beautiful. But I also do wash a bunch and put them in the refrigerator. You don't have to wash eggs. If you want to leave them on the counter, you just don't wash them. But if you have eggs that are a little messy, if you know what I mean, you'll want to wash those off and then put them in the refrigerator. But this is another reason why you don't want to just have broody chickens. They will poop on the eggs and get them really messy. For Mother's Day this year, my husband bought me some beautiful flower arrangements, and they have been sitting out on the counter and are past their prime. So I'm just picking out everything I can that's still alive in here and trimming the stems to fit into a vase that's at least half the size. And that will hopefully keep these flowers alive and looking beautiful so that I can enjoy them on the windowsill for at least another week or two. I just love bringing the outside inside as decor, and it just brings so much color and beauty into our home. I do have a few peony plants that I planted outside our living room window here. They're doing very beautifully this spring. So I am going to cut myself a big vase of that to fill this vase I've just emptied and put these on my kitchen table to enjoy. Peonies actually last for quite a while. I've had the same vase of peonies on my kitchen table for about 3 weeks now. When one of the flowers loses its petals or expires, I just cut it off and leave the remaining flowers in my vase. And so it does dwindle down a little bit, but they're so beautiful and they last so long, and I just love having them. I definitely want to plant more peony plants, and I'm contemplating dedicating a garden box to them. But they're great. They are like a root start. I bought mine on Etsy, and they were beautiful root starts, actually pretty small, not really thick or anything, But these are 3-year-old peony plants, and the base of them is probably about 1 foot by 1 foot, and then they grow into these big bushes. You can actually divide the peony plants and to make more plants, and so I might do that, or I might just order more peony starts, but definitely recommend growing them. They are one of the first flowers to bloom in the spring, one of the most expensive flowers to buy in a bouquet, and I think the most romantic and feminine of all the flowers. I was just talking with my son-in-law about anxiety and telling him one of the places I feel the most peace is outside in the garden, or just mowing the lawn. Just being outside is so peaceful, just hearing the birds chirp, and it's one of my favorite places to be. Thanks for coming along with me. Thanks for watching my video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and we'll see you next time.